Welcome to It's Upgrade Season, the only place to get raw and unfiltered advice on how to get your shit together 1 week at a time. I'm your host, Alexandria, and join me every Monday for The Upgrade and every Friday for The Wind Down, where I'm going to be answering your dilemmas. Small shifts, huge upgrades. Let's fucking do this. It's Friday, it's The Wind Down. I have an amazing dilemma for you guys. And I just want to start, first of all, I'm drinking a London Fog today. I am a big fan of a London Fog, but I actually want to talk about drinking champagne. So I did a little reel about this on my Instagram, and even though this isn't the upgrade portion of the podcast, I do think it's worth sharing on the Wind Down. And it's about drinking champagne when life fucking sucks. So this was a piece of advice that a friend shared with me a few years ago. And for context, I got home one day, this was when I was working in insurance. I got home one day and our entire flat was flooded, like fully flooded. And I spent the next few hours desperately trying to undo the damage. So we got one of these machines that sucks up water. We took everything out onto the decking to try and dry it out. And after a few hours of really going at it, we realized we were way out of our depth. And quite frankly, the flat was fucked along with a load of our belongings. So we're out on the decking, and it was around summertime because we're outside. It's like, luckily it's nice warm weather in London. And one of my friends says, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And we lived below a Tesco. So he ran up to Tesco and he returns with a load of Prosecco. And we'd already ordered a Domino's. And we had this pizza and Prosecco party out on the deck. And he said, my grandparents always taught me to not just drink champagne and celebrate when things are good, but to drink champagne and celebrate on the bad days too. So we didn't have a champagne budget back then, but we did have Prosecco. And it's actually weirdly one of my favorite memories. It was a horrific day. We had months and months of hell ahead of us. You know, we had to rip out all our carpets. We lived on concrete. We had these weird drying machines. I had to deal with the insurance companies. It was like hectic as fuck. But that evening is still one of my favorite memories on what could have been one of the worst days. And that's really stuck with me. And recently there's been stuff going on and we've been moving through stuff, and there's been the most amazing highest highs, but there's also been moments of difficulty, and not all of which I share on Instagram. You know, I try and be as transparent as possible, but my life involves other people as well. You know, I can't just go and share everything all the time. But I really remembered this week. So I'd had a day of it, and we were in a hotel room because we've got stuff going on with the house. And I sat on the bed and I got some food. I put Bridgerton on. I broke my Netflix ban because I do love Bridgerton, and that genuinely does fill me up, and that does feel like a good use of time. And I had some champagne, and it just felt really good. It felt really good to dance in the rain. So that's my piece of advice for you. That's my upgrade for you, even though it's technically not the upgrade, but I did think it was appropriate for the wind down. When life is giving you lemons, make fucking margaritas, you know, like celebrate. So let's get into today's dilemma. And I love the way this dilemma starts. She says, whenever I listen to your podcast, I perceive your advice like an older sister would. Honest, maybe brutal, but necessary. I will take that. That's one of my favorite reviews so far. So she says, maybe this one dilemma is not for this pod, but would like to discuss the following. Just FYI, this dilemma is so great for the pod. She's 24 years old and in love for 5 years with the kind of guy you'd feel you'd manifested and you'd want to spend the rest of your life with, but the inner feeling that you're missing out on your youth because your lives right now are in different cities, and the moment when you'll get to create your future actually together doesn't seem close. My dilemma is experiencing youth versus the vague promise of a future together. And she says, please do bring out that older sister honesty. I'll be taking notes. So firstly, thank you for sending this in. I'm always so grateful when I receive these and that you're willing to trust me with what's going on in your life. And as I always say, I'll try and give some advice that will help and not fuck up any further. This is really tough because 19, I'm guessing, is when you got together. If you're 24 now and you've been together 5 years, I really do believe those like early years of adulthood, so to speak, are such formative years, and you're really getting to know yourself. And when you're with someone during those times, I feel like you grow up together and that creates a real bond. I had a similar-ish situation in that I had a boyfriend from when I was 17 till about, it was a little bit younger. I think we broke up when I was about 20, finally, 21. And I was fucking heartbroken, like fully heartbroken. I thought I was going to marry that guy. Like I was so in love with him. So, so, so in love with him. We had such a beautiful relationship for so many years. I was close with his family. I just fucking loved him. Like it was incredible until it wasn't. We definitely had problems, which definitely led to the breakup. But my point being, I thought we were going to get married. I was without a doubt sure that was our future. I still remember in my like leavers book at school, he was like, we are going to get married. And if anything happens, I'm going to come find you after uni and we're still going to get married. Okay. So we were in deep. And it was tough when we broke up because it felt so deep, not just because I had this view of the future and how we were going to be together, but because we'd also grown up together. We'd been through those formative years together, and so much of my identity that I had created actually linked back to him, even though we'd lived separate lives and had very different interests. He was a rugby guy and I was fucking terrible at sports. We were just so intertwined in that way. So I think it can be really difficult to be in that situation and to have gone through this very formative time together. But that being said, there's a couple of things that are flagging to me here, and a couple of things that I think you get to explore. So the first thing that's flagging is that inner feeling that you're missing out on your youth because you live in different cities, and at the moment creating your future doesn't seem close. And you've also said the vague promise of a future together. That says to me that there isn't 100% certainty in your mind that this future is actually going to happen. And there's also that seed of doubt that you're not making the most of your life right now. And honestly, I think that's what you get to do right now. I am a massive believer that if you are meant to be together, you will find each other. I don't think that's something reserved for the movies. I think that's something that really happens in real life. I've seen it happen to other friends. I've seen it happen to other relationships. So I think you get to lean into the energy of trust here and trusting each other as well, trusting yourself, trusting the universe, trusting each other, that if you are meant to be together, if you truly are each other's person, and I do believe in soulmates, guys. I think we potentially have multiple soulmates. Although I say that, like, I feel like Jake is my soulmate and like he is my soulmate in many lives. And I don't know, he feels like my one, but I like to think maybe there are multiple just in case anything happens. But I do think that you will come back together. I think you will re-find each other if that is what it's meant to be. But I think 24 years old is such a beautiful time to explore. And I think you don't always realize when you're in a relationship how much of that energy is being directed towards that other person. Even when you think you're living quite a separate life because you're in a separate city, there's always going to be part of you that maybe it's the part that goes home a little bit earlier from the night out. Maybe it's the part of you that doesn't entertain that conversation with the guy because you don't want him to get the wrong impression. Maybe it's that part of you that is spending energy missing that person versus being present in your current reality right now. And I think it's really beautiful to get that time, because if you guys are going to be together and you're going to have the rest of your life together, you have the rest of your life together. But you're going to have these years now that you can look back on and you explored yourself, other people potentially. Maybe you traveled, whatever it may be for you, you got to go do those things and have those memories. And that will guide you to the right answer, whatever it may be. I really do believe we get clarity through action. And I think this could be an action step that you take that gives you greater clarity. You might have 6 months and be like, do you know what? Fuck it. I just want to be with you, even though we're in different cities, even though we don't know how we're going to make this work in the future. Right now, I know I want to be with you. You are my future, and you come back together really quickly. But maybe, just maybe, and I know this is why I share my backstory with you, because I know right now it probably doesn't feel like a possibility. I know I felt that way when I was so certain, so sure that I was going to marry my childhood love. Like, just maybe you're not each other's person. Maybe actually this journey of exploration and this journey of adventure takes you down a whole different pathway. And first of all, you meet yourself in a different way. And then eventually you meet a partner who is actually a better match for the life that you want to create. And that's how I feel now. If I'd married my childhood sweetheart, I'm pretty sure he still lives in Manchester. I don't want to be living in Manchester. I love Manchester, by the way. This is no dig on Manchester, but I don't want to be living in Manchester. I wanted a life of adventure, of travel, of moving abroad. I'm pretty sure, I'm wishing I kind of stalked my ex-boyfriend now before I recorded this, but like, I'm pretty sure like he works in the same industry that he used to work in. I wanted to be with someone who wanted to like have a job where we could travel around, where we could, I get really turned on by the fact Jake wants to build this empire. Like, it is part of what I love about him. And of course I would still love him if he had a 9-to-5 job. I'm not saying that, but like, that is part of him that has expanded me as well. I always say this, part of the reason I had the confidence to start my own journey was actually through meeting Jake. And I will give him full credit for that, because I saw him and I witnessed him going through this journey firsthand. And I'd never seen anyone do that before. I'd never witnessed anyone do that before. Jake expanded me and my life in so many ways. And we have created a life that is so much more in greater alignment for the highest vision that I had for my life than it ever would have been with that childhood sweetheart. So even though at the time it felt like the greatest heartache and I couldn't have believed you, and it took me years to get over him, honestly. Like, I got myself into shitty relationship after shitty relationship because honestly, I think I was just so hung up on him and what we had and how good it was. You know, it's hard to find a match for that. It's hard to find anything that even compares to that. But like now, and having met Jake and being in this life, I am so grateful that we didn't stay together. I'm so grateful I went through that heartache. I'm so grateful that I found my soulmate and my person and got to live this experience and this expanded reality together. So my vote is, and this is purely going off from what you've been saying, I feel like there's a seed of doubt there for you. And I think the best way to honor yourself is to explore that seed of doubt. And look, if you guys are meant to be together, you will come back together. But if in that journey you discover that there's something different for you, then that is what it is. And we just get to trust the magical mystery of life, that there is something greater in store for us. That would be one of my biggest big sister pieces of advice now. And I feel like I am big sister age to you, because I'm like 33 or 24. Like, I feel like it's giving big sister energy. But that would be my biggest piece of advice to you. I feel like there was so many parts of my life that I tried to micromanage and I tried to manipulate the outcome of, or I was so tied to a particular outcome or a particular thing that I wanted to happen. And actually, I've recently realized that some of the greatest moments of my life were moments I wasn't consciously even manifesting. Some of the greatest gifts in my life were unexpected. Jake was completely unexpected. I did not walk into that office that day. And if you haven't listened to the podcast we did together, we talk all about how we met each other. But I didn't walk into the office that day expecting to meet the love of my life. When I met the love of my life, I didn't expect him to expand my life in so many different ways, you know? So just trust life a little bit more. Trust life. Trust the universe, God, whatever you relate to. Trust yourself. That it's okay to follow these nudges. It's okay to explore, because at least one day if you guys do get married or you do commit to each other in whatever way feels appropriate, you can look back and go, no fucking regrets. No regrets. You know, I explored, I lived, and we came back to each other and I knew you were the one. Or maybe, babe, you're going to find yourself marrying a different man, and that might not feel like a possibility right now, but maybe God's got something even fucking greater in store for you. So thank you for submitting that dilemma. I love hearing your guys' dilemmas. If you've got something that you want that brutal big sister advice on, I'm here to offer it. Make sure to send us a WhatsApp or drop me a DM. Either is good. The WhatsApp's linked in the show notes. If you're not following me on Instagram, but you're listening to the podcast, why not? Like, come on, guys. Let's be friends on Instagram. So follow me over there and drop me a little DM. And if you haven't already, make sure that you check out our retreats that we've got coming up. We have the most amazing Tulum retreat and the most amazing Mallorca retreat. These truly are the most life-changing, transformational experiences. And that truly filters through on the reviews that we get and the testimonials we get off the back of them. So please do check those out if you're interested in deep sisterhood, deep transformation, living your best fucking life, basically, babes. The women coming already, by the way, the caliber is just like chef's kiss, like fucking amazing. So good. So you're going to be joining not just me, but some incredible women on those. And I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you so much joy and so much abundance. Enjoy the weekend.